This is our project Pollination Syndrome. So some background on it is the concept was first developed in the 1870s by an Italian botanist, Federico Delfini, and it was based on the idea that flowers evolve to have specific traits that attract and are pollinated by a particular type of animal. This was based on the idea of convergent evolution, which is that animals and their plants evolve similar traits to attract each other. Coevolution, that plants and their pollinators evolve in tandem to become more specialized, and predicting pollinators, that which means that pollination syndromes can be used to predict which pollinators are likely to visit a plant. An example of this is Charles Darwin. He predicted that the orchid would be pollinated by a moth with a very long proboscis, which was like a tongue, and the moth was discovered 21 years after his death, which confirmed his prediction. Pollination syndrome are a set of flower traits that help attract and use a specific group of pollinators. They are the result of a natural selection where the flowers evolve to attract specific pollinators, and these traits help plants reproduce successfully by attracting pollinators. Some examples of these include color, shape, odor, and nectar.
Going from what is pollination syndrome, this is my side. A type of pollination syndromes. Color, different pollinators are attracted to different colors. Birds attracted to red or bright colored flowers. Bees prefer blue or violet flowers. Moth visit white or pale flowers. Scent is another thing that attract pollinators. Strong scent fragrances attract nocturnal pollinators like moth, sand bats. Rotting or foul odors attract flies and beetles. Another type of pollination syndrome is shape and size. Tubular flowers tend to attract hummingbirds and butterflies, which have long tongues. Wide open flowers are often pollinated by bees that can easily land, just like the first day of class, how we were describing the project that the students had went over. Nectar production is another type of pollination syndrome. Flowers with deep nectar reserves attract animals with long feeding structures. Shallow nectar attracts insects like flies that do not have long feeding structures. And that was my slide.
The environment. Pollination syndrome has various roles in the environment. These roles are biodiversity. Pollination syndrome facilitates interactions between plants and their pollinators. This contributes to the diversity of plants and their pollinators. Different pollinators are attracted to different floral traits, which promote a variety of plant species in an ecosystem. Ecosystem functioning. Pollination is an important ecosystem service that aids in plant reproduction. This affects food webs, habitat structure, etc. Food production. Many crops rely on specific pollinators. Pollination syndrome helps aid in successful reproduction of these plants, which is vital for agriculture and food security. Adaptation and evolution. The coevolution of plants and their pollinators fosters adaptation, leading to specialized relationships. This can drive evolutionary processes, resulting in some unique species and traits that enhance ecological niches. Habitat restoration. Understanding pollination syndromes can aid in habitat restoration efforts. By planting species that attract different pollinators, ecosystems can start to be rejuvenated.
All right, for my section, I did types of pollination and the species that do them. So here are some of the organisms I did. Starting out, we have bee pollination. So a little fun fact: bees see in ultraviolet spectrum. Uh, this allows them to see specific patterns in flowers that may attract them. Um, then I did bird pollination. There are 2,000 species of birds that pollinate flowers, uh, and then birds, those 2,000 species pollinate about 10,000 species of plants and flowers. Some birds, like hummingbirds, have developed specialized beaks to pollinate flowers. An example of this was the reading about hummingbird and bee pollination we did the first day of class. Bats also pollinate some fruits. They pollinate about 300 species of fruit. They have developed specialized tongues that help them gather and transport nectar. Um, their tongues also aid in pollination. Bats are attracted to fruits that have strong, sometimes unpleasant odors. Moth pollination is another pretty common one. Moths tend to pollinate flowers at night. They're drawn to flowers with a strong odor, but it's usually pleasant. Um, an example is the moonflower. It has a sweet odor. And then shown in the picture below, they gather their nectar through long straws called probosces. And then we have fly pollination. Flies are drawn to flowers by odors, and it's typically a pretty foul odor. So plants such as the one on the right, which is the corpse flower, emit foul smells that imitate decaying material. And then we have butterfly pollination. Butterflies, similarly to bees, are drawn to flowers that have broad petals so they can land on them. Butterflies are also attracted to pleasant odors and bright colors, such as in the two flowers below. They're also attracted to flowers with long nectar spurs, which is just little tubes that they can gather the nectar from. One example is milkweed, which is shown in the picture to the right.